Are you getting divorced? Is your attorney only talking to you about how they can help you in court? That should be a big red flag. Welcome back to our 10-part series on red flags to look out for if you are hiring a divorce attorney. Today we're talking about red flag number 9. Your attorney refuses to talk to you about any other alternative models besides court. If your attorney is more interested in pushing the litigation narrative, telling you that you have to go to court, you have to fight this out, they're going to win everything for you, instead of discussing with you other options, collaborative divorce, divorce mediation, negotiating a settlement maybe with the other side, this should be a really big red flag that maybe they're thinking more about the fees, the money that they're going to get if they litigate this case, as opposed to helping you now start to settle it. Because the reality is, if you're able to resolve your matter now in a more peaceful and harmonious manner, think about how much less time that's going to take, and think about how much less money you're going to have to spend. If you're spending less money, generally then the attorney is making less money. And I would never make any claims that attorneys would do this deliberately, but let's just be honest. There might be some out there who do. That's why we're talking about this red flag that you need to look out for to protect yourself. So today we're going to talk about why it is essential that your divorce attorney is helping you explore other alternatives besides going to court. Even if that's not the avenue that you take and you do need to wind up in court and you do end up at trial, at least exploring these options from the beginning is going to be something that could potentially save you a lot of time, money, and energy down the road. And if your attorney isn't even considering them from the beginning, maybe that's not the attorney for you. So when it comes to getting divorced, an acronym that we often use is ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution. Alternative just means a different way of doing it besides court. It really shouldn't be alternative. It should really be the preferred way, because why do you need the court involved? However, we do call it ADR, and some of the most common ADR models are divorce mediation, which a lot of people do know about. Divorce mediation is a way to help the both of you come together to resolve all of those issues, get it all in paper, and get it filed with the court. Collaborative divorce is something similar, but you each have your own attorneys. Again, everything stays outside of the court. The both of you negotiate everything together. Even if things have to be tweaked or finalized, you come to all of the agreements together, have it written down in your agreement, signed, and then filed with the court. Neither one of you ever have to go to court in either one of those models. These alternative models are often a lot less costly. They cost you so much less money than having to litigate something. The reasons that it costs less is not only because you're doing this on your time frame. You don't have to take off of work. Sometimes you can do these things virtually via Zoom, so you don't have to waste the travel time going to court, but also because it's going to cost you less in attorney fees. You're not going to have to pay your attorney to travel to court, to litigate, to file motion practice, to file discovery demands. Everything's going to be disclosed in mediation or in the collaborative model, and think about how much money that's going to save you. These alternative methods can also save you a lot more time. Like I said, you don't have to take off time to go to work. You don't have to start finding childcare. You don't have to make all of these other arrangements that you might have to do if you are in court. A lot of people who choose these alternative methods, whether it's mediation or collaborative, they find that they're able to manage it better, manage their schedule better, manage their finances better, and they're able to now predict a more sustainable and reliable future because they're coming together to talk about these things. They're starting to create a future that is financially stable and makes sense for their family. So why should your attorney talk to you about ADR from the very beginning? For those very reasons. Because you want a future that is predictable, that is sustainable, and that makes sense for you and your family. Any good divorce attorney, even if they litigate regularly, they should be familiar with these models. They should understand what collaborative divorce is and understand what mediation is and speak to you about them. Make sure that you understand that you have the option to use these models, and make sure that you fully understand, if the other side is willing to come to the table, how it is that you two can work together to do that. Now, if after you've consulted with your attorney and you've discussed these alternative models, if they see any reasons why it wouldn't work, then you certainly should listen to your attorney and listen to their counsel. However, if they are poo-pooing it and saying absolutely not from the start, and saying we don't believe in these models and this is why, because it's rubbish, because it's just feel good sort of resolutions, that's not really a good enough reason. They need to give you succinct reasons, clear reasons why it is that they won't work. Because I have been doing this for a very long time, and I can tell you right now, mediation and collaborative divorce does work. Maybe not in every case. So again, if you have a trusted attorney who is telling you it really is not going to work for this specific reason, then of course you should listen to them. But if they dismiss it out of hand right from the beginning and they don't want to talk about it, that's something that you should certainly consider a red flag. So what are some of the risks that the attorney might be putting you in if they're not discussing with these ADR models with you in advance? Well, ignoring the option to not go to court can cost you a lot more money. Once you're in the court system, people think that they have a lot of control over how it is that they navigate things. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then my spouse will do one, two, and three. Sometimes that's how it works. But sometimes once the ball starts rolling, a lot of the litigation practice or that the way that the case unfolds is often out of your hands. Once it is started, it's up to the judge, it's up to opposing counsel, sometimes it's up to your spouse. Oftentimes, judges even move in between these cases. So you start out with Judge A in January, and then maybe next year, another judge comes in and that judge leaves. And you almost have to start over. You almost have to start explaining to this new judge right from the beginning where it is that you are. That's a significant delay, and that can cost you a lot of money. And it's completely out of your hands. You can't really control it. If the judge even gets maybe a new law clerk, if there's new staff, if they have an emergency and your case gets adjourned from today to next month, to 3 months from now, to however long, that's really up to the court. The court calendar is very tight and very packed, and you have no control over that. So again, you're going to be spending a lot more time, money, and energy in a court system that you have no control over. Secondly, once you're in court, it can be really, really adversarial, not just between you and your spouse. Sometimes the attorneys, they'll be sitting there fighting. Sometimes there'll be a third attorney if you have children and the children have attorneys. Sometimes even the court personnel can have a very adversarial tone. So it can really change the entire nature of how you and your spouse are trying to unravel your marriage and trying to move forward. And thirdly, if your attorney is not speaking to you about these alternative models, to me, that signals a very rigid way of thinking, that they're not willing to think outside the box in ways that are going to work for you and your family. A lot of times, attorneys know one way to practice, and it's within this little box, and they put you in that box, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to start thinking about what's best for you. It's just, what will the law dictate? How can I get you the most? How can we move this forward? As opposed to, let me hear what your concerns are for the future. What are ways that we can help you get those things? Maybe we give a little more here and we can get you a little more there. If your attorney has a very rigid way of thinking from the beginning and they only want to go to court, that could really be a huge red flag, and it could really be a big downfall for you in the future. So what should you do if your attorney is not speaking to you about these alternative methods besides going to court? Number one, I say it all the time, ask them. Speak to this attorney and let them know you do know about these other options. You do know about divorce mediation. You do know about collaborative divorce. You do know about negotiating a settlement with the other side. What do you think about that, attorney? Ask them that directly and let them answer you. If they say to you, oh, these are great options, let's explore them together, well, then maybe now you can start putting your details out there, and then you can start creating a path forward that's going to make sense. If the attorney shuts it down and says, oh, no, we're not talking about that, we can only go to court, that really is something that you should start thinking about. Do you even want to work with that attorney? Their response to you is not only a response about these alternative dispute resolution models, it's also a response about you expressing a concern and them shutting you down. That's another really big red flag if they're not listening to you. Secondly, during a consultation, if you ask this attorney about what they think about ADR options and they immediately shut you down, ask them why. Why is it that you don't believe mediation would work? You really want to be able to hear them articulate to you that they don't believe in you having self-determination. Or they might say to you, oh, I've had really bad experiences with it. Ask them questions. During a consultation, whether it's paid or not, you have the right to ask questions and get that attorney's feedback. Ask them specifically why these ADR models are not something that they would consider. And lastly, if your attorney avoids that, right, they won't talk to you about ADR, they won't suggest these things, they won't give you a solid answer as to why your case is not eligible for that or why they don't believe in it. Then the third option is to start thinking about, what do you want for your future? Is this attorney the right one for you? They may not be. Sometimes, even if you do need to go to court and this case will get litigated, knowing that your attorney has an open mind and that they are open to more possibilities besides just this one track can really be very, very helpful for you. If you're consulting with an attorney who doesn't believe in these models because your case does not qualify for it or they don't see the benefit in it for you and they can articulate that to you, that's one thing. If they're telling you that they don't believe in these models and that's it, then that just lets you know that this is their frame of thought. This is the track that they're going to go down. And maybe you should think about getting off and going on another track. So to wrap all of this up, I think it's very important that your attorney should discuss all of your options with you. If court is the final resolution, the final path that you need to take for your resolution, then so be it. As long as you are fully informed along the way and your attorney is exploring all of these other models. If the attorney is shutting it down from the beginning, I highly encourage you to go look online and find an attorney who has an online presence that talks specifically about other ways that you can get divorced besides just going to court. It can really go a long way in saving you time, money, and energy, even if this attorney just lays it out for you, lays out all of these options, and is very open and honest with you. After all, you're paying this attorney. Don't forget, they work for you. So you want to make sure that you're getting the most value from that attorney's services, and that may not include going to court. Thank you again for joining us on the Divorce Den, part 9 of our 10-part series on red flags to look out for when you're hiring a divorce attorney. We would love it if you would join us on Divorce Den. Hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell, share with anyone you think will benefit from this, and we'll see you next time.